welcome to another installment of the Durham Bulls Podcast, where we celebrate the history and the tradition of all things Durham Bulls, from the great players to the managers, the special people that make the Durham Bulls the most iconic minor league franchise in America. Patrick Keenis with you. We're so glad you're with us. If this is the first time you've joined us, thank you. You can find us, as always, on Apple and on Spotify and your favorite platforms to download your podcast. This is also a video podcast as well. I didn't pack a Durham Bulls polo, so I'm wearing my ESPN shirt from an event I'm at right now down in Georgia. But you can find all these video podcasts as well on the Durham Bulls TV YouTube page. So check that out as well. So tonight, we welcome in one of my all-time favorite Durham Bulls who spent a couple of years with the Bulls fairly recently, back in 2021 and 2022, who's now gone on to a different organization. He's settled into a major league role. And if you've been to the DBAP over the last few years, I'm sure he's become one of your favorites as well because of his style of play, which has endeared him to fans through the minor leagues and now at Wrigley Field in Chicago. It is my friend, Miles Mastrobuoni. My friend, it's been too long. How are you?
It's been too long. It's good to see you, Patrick. Thank you very much for that introduction. That was amazing. So thank you.
It's so good to see you, and we have so many different topics to cover. But just the one evergreen question: how has life changed for you in the last year and a half since you left the Tampa Bay Rays organization to now vying again for another opening day spot with the Chicago Cubs?
Yeah, not much has changed. Just grinding, putting the work in, just doing all those same things and stuff like that. And but looking forward to getting going with this team this year. And I think we got some good things in store for us.
So when last I saw you, it was, I don't know, a week or so before the Bulls played in the AAA National Championship game a couple of years ago. And as fate would have it, and as selfish as the Tampa Bay Rays were, they took you from the Durham Bulls up to make your major league debut in September of 2022. Yep. And the team then went on, and that was the one where the Bulls won the IL championship, went out to Las Vegas, and Tristan Gray hit the dramatic grand slam in the ninth inning, the big rally. But you weren't there. You were part of that organization that year and the previous year. But that's the last time that we actually saw you. So integral to the Bulls that year.
It was, yeah. It was definitely one of those things, right? Like, I was getting questions, where would you want to be? Would you want to be with, the team down there in Vegas? Or would you rather be? And it's like, of course your dream is to be in the big leagues, right? Like, answering quick, like, it's not too big of a question, but I had so many of my guys on that team. Like, that was a moment that I definitely, wish I was there for. I was actually watching it, that game on the plane ride. Big shout out to Tristan Gray, one of my very good buddies, swinging 3-0 and hitting a granny. I was freaking out on the plane just watching it, so I couldn't imagine what I would have been like in Vegas. But definitely wish to be there, but also at the same time can't complain.
So I need more details on this flight, because not everybody on the plane, certainly they're following the game, but nobody's freaking out probably as much as you are.
No,
because certainly not Tyler Glasnow and Kevin Cash and the others. They're not freaking out on the flight watching the Bulls try and win a AAA national championship, right?
Yep. So it was crazy. I had to tune in for that one. Now I had to watch all my guys for sure.
Yeah. So I wanted to get into this a little bit later, but since we kind of broached the topic, the fans don't know, and really I'm not sure exactly the full story behind how Brady Williams told you on that mid-September day that you were going to the big leagues. We heard from Ryan Stanek a couple of weeks ago, and he unveiled a great story how his flight up to Boston to make his big league debut for the Rays was canceled due to weather. They diverted him to I think a Connecticut airport, and he had a driver take him to Fenway Park, and he got a hold that day. How did it happen? How did Brady tell you? What was unusual about that moment?
Yeah, sometimes the travel gets crazy, like what you just explained right there. But Brady always did a good job whenever he could, because the one thing he always told us is that it's a special moment, and he really tried to make that moment as special for the player as best as he could. And so it just so happened that we were playing Norfolk. We were in a race, and trying to hold them off I think it was the Yankees at the time. And yeah, he brought everyone up, and you knew it was something special because whenever he brings the whole team up after the game, he just usually doesn't do it. So brought the whole team up, and yeah, explained that I was heading to the big leagues. It's definitely a moment that I just can picture in my head. One of the best days of my life so far, and to have a dream come true with what I told the guys in that locker room was, I had a handful of guys that I played for 7 years coming up through that race system in that locker room. So to enjoy that moment with those guys, that was the best part about it.
When did you realize when Brady had the team assembled that he was talking about you?
Um, I didn't know what was going on too much in the big leagues, to be honest with you. Some guys keep up a little bit more, guys going down, this and that, but I knew I was having a good year. It was at the end of the year. I knew I was having a good year. But you still don't know, you know what I'm saying? So he mentioned that the guy that was going up it was going to be the first time getting called up, and I had not a feeling, but after he said that, there's a chance, and I still couldn't believe when my name came out of his mouth. So special moment.
When you close your eyes, even now, and now we're about a year and a half removed from that day, can you still see all the vivid details and all the feelings
Oh
and all
yeah.
the specialness about that day?
Oh yeah. I just remember the clubhouse going nuts. Everyone jumping around me and stuff like that. The thing that was so special, it seemed like my teammates were just as happy as I was. That's how close we were. That's how, the Rays kind of produced that like family, coming up through the minors. So, yeah, I remember like it was yesterday, and I think I forever will.
You mentioned a couple of seconds ago about the 6 or 7 guys who you came up through that first wave with the Tampa Bay Rays since you were drafted in 2016. Who were those? Who were those special guys for you?
Yeah, I mean, Josh, Tristan, Ryan Bolt, Jim Haley, uh, Bruhan was there. Um, pitching wise, I would have to think about some pitchers. Um, those are the ones that come and then when you go to that 21 team, Walsey, Dalton Kelly, Brett Sullivan, you know, I mean, I can kind of go on and on about, all these guys. And if anyone listens, if I forgot you, I'm sorry. But it was a special group for sure. It was a special group.
That's the beauty of the game and kind of the heartbreak of the game, just in terms of the family atmosphere, the brotherhood that we have, because eventually those teams get broken up. Eventually, guys get released, they get injured, they get traded, they go to different organizations. You're now part of that group where that nucleus of friends that climb the organization ladder with you with the Rays. I mean, all those players you just named are on 4 or 5 or 6 different teams in different organizations. So
Yeah.
are you able to continue to follow their careers? How much do you stay in touch with them?
I mean, some guys better than others, but we all stay in touch. You come out here for spring training, and I'm seeing guys all over the place. I got Zombro. We just had dinner with Sam McWilliams was
Yeah.
a little bit earlier. Curtis Taylor. Kenny was in the mix there too,
Mhm.
and so like you see all these guys. Sully's out here. Mike Brasso. Um, all these guys like you see around. Like that's what's so great about this baseball world. It's such a small world, and like you said, a brotherhood. And when you're able to see those guys and just catch up, like that's what's fun about this game.
Yeah. So I want to kind of walk backwards in your career. We'll get to where you are now in a couple of minutes, but from the 21 season when you played with the Bulls to the 22 season with the Bulls, there was a seismic change in your power and your slugging and your productivity. So I pulled up some numbers. You played 51 games. You were not in the everyday lineup when you got up with the Bulls. You split that year between Durham and Montgomery, but you didn't hit a AAA home run. You drove in 14 runs. You hit almost 300, but then you look ahead to the next year. You're in the lineup every day. You hit 300. You hit 16 home runs and had 32 doubles. Your slugging percentage went up about 150, 160 points. I remember asking you about 2 months into the season, like what changed? Like where did this slugging come from? How did it unlock? Was it
Yeah.
a stance change? Was it an approach change? What was it? And it was almost just a, if I remember correctly, it was almost like a mental determination change from
Yeah.
Miles. What was the big difference, and how huge was that for your career future with the Rays and now the Cubs?
Yeah. I mean, in 21, um, I was showing some kind of some power numbers when I was down in Montgomery and stuff like that. And then I joined that, probably the best team that I've
Mm,
played on was that 21 Bulls team. And I joined that team, and I mean, we're putting up 7 runs a night. Every guy on the team's got close to 20 homers, and like I was coming up, and I got off to a really hot start, right? And
mhm,
but the power numbers weren't like jumping out to me. So I ended up going searching, which I there was no reason why I needed to go searching, and my swing kind of fell into a little bit of a funk. I couldn't find my rhythm and timing. Um, you know, and unfortunately it led to that. And then leading into 22, I just thought the opportunity that presented itself was there. I really felt like Brady had trusted me and
mhm,
penciled me into the lineup every single day, whether that was second, short, left, right, center.
mhm,
um, I think that had definitely a little bit to do with it. And then just understanding when to take a few more shots and really get your swing off in plus counts, and guys that you felt like you could do it on, right? Like there's certain pitchers that you
mhm,
face that
mhm.
you can't get too big. You got to understand, you got to take your single or whatever the case may be. And there's some guys that you see well enough and that kind of play into your swing, and you try and take some shots, And fortunately, I was able to have a good year that year.
Did you feel any, I don't, pressure is such an overused phrase, so I really don't want to say that, but did you get a sense that the Tampa Bay Rays needed to see some more power, some more slugging out of you to kind of round out your opportunity to get to the big leagues with the Rays at that stage, or was this more self-imposed?
I mean, I think, as I was kind of climbing through the minors, it was something that I needed to really put at the forefront, and I wanted to make sure I was doing it in the right way, in the sense of just not putting on bad weight. I really needed to
Mm,
get into the weight room. I found a little change right in that 19 to right into that COVID year, unfortunately,
yeah.
where I was able to unlock some certain things in the gym and kind of put on some size and weight, and that definitely helped big time. So, you know, when you get to the big leagues, and I was fortunate enough to be up, 3/4 of last year, and that small stint with the Rays, like every guy's got that, you know what I'm saying? And so, if you're able to just tap into it, but also at the same time understand what you're really good at, which is me as a contact guy, can
Mhm,
spread the ball around the field, get on base for the guys um,
yeah.
that are the boppers, and then just keep trying to improve, and find ways to make your game better, and that's what I just try and do.
All right, visiting with our good friend Miles Mastrobuoni, now utility infielder and outfielder for the Chicago Cubs. And let's continue to backpedal in your career before we move forward, because as I was writing down some notes of some things that I was curious to find out, one of the threads that I wanted to pull on was, you played junior college ball for a couple of years. You transfer into the University of Nevada, which is a great program known for producing big league grinders. I mean, when I
Mhm.
see Chris Jimenez come out of that program, and
Yep.
Corky Miller and others, these are not first round 1-1 overall talent, but they're guys who know how to play. They don't quit. They're blue collar, and they have a lot of big league value. So as you're coming through that, and then you get in the minor leagues for a couple of years, and then 2019, you got up to the Bulls for a couple of games, and then 2020 hits. It's not as though you were an 18-year-old high school drafted player. You're an older college player coming out. So the
Yeah.
clock is immediately ticking a little bit quicker for guys like that 3-4 years to college level. Then the COVID year hits in 2020, you don't play, and you're not part of the 60-man
Yeah.
pool either. Were there any doubts at that stage about your future in pro baseball? I mean, you're older, you're now going to miss an entire campaign, and you don't have a lot of time to waste. I mean, did
Yeah.
that cross your mind? And if so, how did you deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, I was always a younger guy for my age class, graduating high school and college, so I definitely had that on my side. And then once COVID hits, and then you kind of realize that you're going to miss a whole season. Next thing you know, you lose a year, and you see I was always kind of like right below where everyone was at, age wise. And then when you lose that and you're right to where all the other guys are, and then you're seeing younger guys come through, um, it definitely makes you think a little bit, but um, it's not something that you can let, get to you and stuff like that. You just got to keep pushing the course, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
don't let the outside factor and the outside noise kind of get into you. Keep your head down, keep your foot on the gas pedal, and just see where things land. I tried to just um, really lay everything out every single day. Like, if I can look myself in the mirror and tell myself that um, you laid everything out there every single day, then you can be okay with whatever comes your way.
Miles, what is it about that Nevada Reno program? Kevin Kuzmanov came through. Cal Stevenson, who played with the Bulls a couple of years ago, came through. I mentioned Jimenez and Corky, and there are many, many, many others. It's a very, very good, well-respected program, but it's not a sought-after program for the major high school players. So, what is it about that program? What drew you after your 2 years at San Mateo to go there?
Yeah, the biggest thing that drew me was Jay Johnson and the whole staff that he had there at Nevada. Um, Obviously, you see what he's doing now over at LSU and what he did at Arizona. I saw that, and I saw that he believed in me to come in there and make an impact right away. I think the way they recruited is a big reason why they recruit a lot of Bay Area and SoCal kids that are grinders that know how to put their head down and put the time in and sweat and do all that kind of stuff. So when you add that environment and you see it around yourself, you got nothing else to do but to keep up with everyone. So you just try and do that, work your tail off, and be a good teammate.
And you continue to do that because that just becomes part of your baseball DNA. And that to me is why you are so endeared, and players like you are so endeared by not only the big league fans of the Cubs or whatever organization one of these Wolfpack players are playing for, but for the managers, the coaching staff, and for the players. Because I just read a recent quote from Kyle Hendricks, who's the ace and probably one of the captains of the Chicago Cubs, saying about you're his guy. A spring training game a couple of days ago, you're running into a wall trying to make a catch and got blooded up, stayed in the game because that's what Miles Mastrobuoni does. We've seen that in Durham, but he said, that's my guy. That's the respect that he has for you, for the style of play, which we saw in Durham for years, and everybody who has watched Miles Mastrobuoni play has witnessed as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was amazing for Kyle to come out there and say something like that. I got so much respect for Kyle. He's been in this game a long time, and he's really good at what he does. To watch what he does, he's kind of like that guy that we're talking about. Doesn't light up the radar gun, but man, when I watch that guy work, it is impressive. And when he's on, it's one of the craziest things I've seen, just to watch him dice up a lineup like he does. You know, those guys they're working their tail off too. There's nothing else that I can do but to give my full effort. Every guy that's out there, right? For every single one of my teammates, for the guy standing next to me. That was just something I was taught at a young age. And when you go out there, you make sure you give your 110%. And as long as you're doing that, I think things will go the way that you want to, and you can be happy with the product you're putting out there.
You mentioned, I mean, I can just sense your pride of being a member of the Chicago Cubs at this stage. I grew up south of Chicago. I was a diehard Chicago Cubs fan club member when I was 4 years old. There was actually an actual club. They sent you a little library card, Chicago Cubs diehard fan club, plaque on the wall. I mean, just it's almost like a cult. Cub fans are incredibly, incredibly special. And for the longest time, century goes by, nothing happens until Mike Montgomery, former Bull, gets the final out of the 2016 World Series. Walk me back to last spring when you found out, when David Ross told you were making the opening day roster for the Cubs. What did that feel like?
Yeah, it was a little bit of a different spring training for me last year. In the sense of going to a new team, but also at the same time playing in the WBC with Team Italy, which was I was very fortunate to do, and that was an amazing ride with that team too. Who we could talk for hours about some of this stuff. This game's just blessed me with a lot of stuff, and leading up to that day, I didn't really know what was gonna happen, and then I kind of caught a sense like a day before we were about to break camp that like they were trying to make a move, and I was gonna be the guy that was. So it was crazy how it all happened, but when it did happen, I had a big smile across my face. I couldn't wait to
Yeah.
call my family and tell them the big news. And another amazing day, in my career so far, and just hoping to keep having days like those, in the near future.
So what was it like then? Not only the opener of the 23 season, but the home opener at Wrigley Field, because again, that's a shrine. It's Yankee Stadium, it's Dodger Stadium, it's Fenway Park, it's Wrigley Field. I mean, those to me are the four on Mount Rushmore as far as
100%.
baseball stadiums. As you're coming out of the dugout onto Wrigley Field for the first time in a Cubs uniform, what in the world does that feel like?
Whew. Oh, it's a little hard to put into words, to be honest with you. What I remember is it was cold. It was cold that day, of course, in Chicago. But one thing I didn't realize was how special that city is and how special Wrigley Field is. Um, for some reason, it's not that I didn't hear about it or anything like that, but like you always hear about Yankee Stadium and Boston and the Dodgers and stuff like that. But I mean, that place is right up there with it. That fan base, the atmosphere that it creates. I remember that day taking the field, running out, and just hearing the roar of the crowd and taking the field for the first time on opening day. That was a very special moment. Um, Roll call in the first inning to hear the whole left field bleachers with roll call. I mean, it's stuff you dream about, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes I got to pinch myself and,
Yeah,
but in those situations, you just try and take everything in the best you can and realize how much time and effort,
yeah,
blood, sweat, and tears that you put in
yeah.
to get you to this point and have fun with it. That's the biggest thing. It gets kind of lost when you're in the fire, but just trying to enjoy it and enjoy the moment and have fun.
Yeah. Now, having skipped a lot of school when I was in kid, in high school and in grad school up at Northwestern, and taking in a lot of games in the bleachers at Wrigley Field, I know they can get obnoxious. They can get really
Yeah.
drunk. They may ask you to shorten your name because it's too many letters for them to spell. Do they have a special endearing nickname for you now that you've been there for a
Oh,
year and hopefully a second?
no, um I haven't heard I haven't heard too many. You can get a few nicknames with the last name that I got going on. So but no, they were good. The thing that's crazy about them is no matter what the score is, no matter where it is in the game, they're packing in before first pitch and they're there no matter what the outcome is, rooting, cheering. Um, it's a special place.
Yeah, and the city, as you mentioned, is just an unbelievable city. Everything,
Unbelievable.
beaches, food, concerts, museums. I mean, it's all
Everything.
there. Are,
It
are
is.
are are you? And I know you generally are a fairly under the radar type of person. You're just not one who likes to be out there. But are you recognized in Chicago at this stage? What is that like for you?
I've been recognized a couple times.
Where?
Um, Comes with it, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Usually after you've done some good things and stuff like that. But it's one thing that kind of comes with the territory.
Are there some places in Chicago that say you may say I'm Miles Mastrobuoni, they may recognize the name like no way you're a big league player. You're not big enough. You're not strong enough. All this to
Uh,
be a major league player.
I try not to use the card too much. It feels weird to be honest with you. Um, but there are some places that you go in and whether you made a reservation through our travel guy or whatever the case may be, those restaurants in Chicago, the places that you go, they take care of their own. And they love the Cubbies, and
Yeah.
they love everything about it. So
Yeah.
they always show really good hospitality.
Yeah. What is your favorite part about this city?
Ooh, food's amazing. Um, I just love, to be honest with you, I could walk around that city um, all day. I was fortunate enough to have a spot right on the river right there in River
Mm,
North, and
mhm.
sometimes I just look at my girlfriend and just be like, "Hey, you want to go for a walk?" And
Yeah.
you could walk down the river and you're watching people go by, ride bikes. There's places to stop on the river. You're watching all the boats go by. Then you mix in, it's almost like you're on an ocean with the beaches that they
Yeah.
got right
Yeah.
there, right off Lakeshore, and you got the Navy Pier in there too. So
Mhm.
so much stuff to do, and a lot of stuff to keep you busy for sure.
Yeah, it's so special. I'm glad you brought up your girlfriend. I want to talk a little bit about family as well. And one thing that is some connecting dots in my head. Last year, as you're experiencing your first season, the Cubs organization, and a majority of that at Wrigley Field, did it almost feel like you're playing for not just you, but also your brother Marcus, because he was drafted originally by the Cubs, right? He
Yeah,
played minor league ball for several years, got to well, I think
sure.
high A in the Cubs
Yeah.
organization. What was that like, knowing that was his organization initially?
Yeah, I mean, he left a good mark on this org because when I came in, um, I mean, I had countless guys coming up to me asking him how he's doing and what's he up to and stuff like that. So that just tells me what kind of person,
Yeah.
I'm always gonna think my brother's the best. But it was very special to hear those kind words from players and coaches that were over in that organization. And when they saw who I was, a
Mhm.
lot of them can pick out because they think that me and my brother look exactly alike. So it was a
You
little
do.
easy for some of them. But to hear all those words and
Mhm.
that meant the absolute world to me to hear
Well,
those special words.
we know because we've been in the game for so long that scouts don't throw away any reports. Farm directors keep everything. I mean, everything is logged for years and years and years. Do you think in almost some way with the time your brother spent the Cubs organization that somebody knew something about the Mastrobuoni family and about the kind of player he was, that maybe that helped when the Rays were dealing you to the Cubs? I mean, does that ever cross your mind?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I'm not sure. I know the only thing I remember is when I was at Nevada. The area scout for the Cubs came over to my house when my brother signed with them, and he signed his contract for him and everything like that. And I remember my parents seeing him at one of my games and stuff like that. And he was just kind of smiled at them and like, yeah, we're looking at him too, kind of thing. And so maybe it kind of went back to there. But I think on the brother side of it, I think since my brother was such a special person, maybe if I'm half the man my brother is, maybe they're just hoping to get someone similar to him for sure.
So tell me more about how your family has handled this and what's been going on in the Mastroboni family for the last
Huh.
year and a half. Because one of the last conversations you and I had was you were going up to be the best man at your brother's wedding, and
Yeah.
you were only going to drink water because you were going to come back and play the day after, and you want to be ready to go because you were
Yeah.
having a great year, and I think it felt like you were close to the big leagues.
Yeah, to be honest with you, at that point, I just wanted to get back and help the squad win, help the Bulls win. To be honest with you, you always just I'm always big on, and this kind of stemmed back. I realized this when I was in junior college. I always want to be where my feet were at, right? Not get too ahead of myself. Just be in the moment. It's easier said than done,
Yeah.
but that's what I was looking forward to. I had an amazing time at my brother's wedding, so that's kind of only really been the special thing going on in the Mastro household right now. Other than just getting ready for another season and um, enjoying holidays and family time as much as we could because it's going by fast now. Off seasons are going too fast.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they never end, especially when you're churning away trying to solidify a spot on a big league roster
Yeah.
as you have in the last couple of years. What are your memories about Durham? Whether a certain game playing, a location where you would just go hang out with your girlfriend when she was in town. When I say Durham, North Carolina, Durham Bulls, what comes to mind for you?
Well, first I gotta shout out the fans. An amazing atmosphere. That ballpark is beautiful. I think the only one that's given it a run for its money is Charlotte, but I'm
Mhm.
taking Durham over Charlotte for best ballpark in the minors. I haven't played out in the PCL, but the atmosphere, the location, everything about Durham, playing surface, the visual you get there, it's beautiful, right?
Mhm.
Then when you mix the fan base that it has there, always packing out, always loud. So I got to give a huge shout out to that. And then I just think the next one for on the baseball side of things is teammates, coaches, Brady, Ray, Will, Kyle Wilson, pitching coaches that we had, Knapp and Brian Reith, who it's Brian Reith, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. And I had him my first year I was drafted. So,
Mhm.
Ray I had for 6 years. So it's those are the things that I remember, playing cards in the clubhouse with all the
Mhm.
guys. Um, that's the biggest thing, outside of stuff, we love going to boxcar. That was kind of a
I
big
love that
staple
place.
for us
Yeah.
just to
What
get
what
out
what
and
what was your
around.
go-to game at Boxcar? What would you go play first?
I like the shooting games. We would hop on the bikes and race each other and the car racing games too, but it was just fun to watch everyone just kind of be a
Yeah.
kid again
Yeah.
and, have a drink or two and relax before the
Mhm.
off day on Monday. So that was always a good time.
Yeah, well, we'll wind things down here with Miles Mastrobuoni, and I know so many of your teammates were so thrilled, they're so ecstatic when you got to the big leagues, and I mean, we followed your success with the Cubs last year and your time at Iowa as well. So, I mean, you have so many people in Durham and still in the Rays organization rooting for you. So,
Thank
so
you.
knowing that as the baseline, as many as that are thrilled for Miles' success, I know you've been following along with your friends who have finally made it as well in the last
Yeah.
couple of years, right? So, not to single out guys, but who are the ones who that you're thrilled to see kind of grind it out and finally get there? Is it like a Nathan Lukes? Is it a Cooper Criswell? Is it a Tristan Gray when he finally got up, or Xavier Edwards, or whoever? Who are those
Yeah.
guys that you're stoked that have gotten that opportunity?
All of them, I know that's kind of a cliche answer, but man, I wish nothing but the best for any of my teammates that I play
Yeah.
with, and I hope that they have a long and healthy career. I mean, all those guys that you said, those are the guys that stand out um, that I played with coming up and stuff like that. So, any guy that I played with, it's always good seeing them, under the bright lights up in the show and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Because you grinded with these guys, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And
Yeah.
I say this kind of phrase a lot. When you spend so much time with a group of guys, I see that group of guys more than I see my family and stuff like
Mhm.
that. So you become really close over the years. And like I said, we had a core group, and when you mix 6, 7 years in
Yeah.
with all that, it just makes it so special. And I wish nothing but the best for all of them. And I'm always following those
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah. What is the best part about being a big leaguer, and what is the hardest part?
Ooh, best part, um, the atmospheres you play in,
Yeah.
um, the chance to win a World Series ring. I know we won a bunch of rings in
Mhm.
Durham. I'm very
Mhm.
fortunate for that. But that World Series is always the number one goal.
Mhm.
Um, you know, big leagues is the big leagues.
Mhm.
It's nice up there, and it's very rewarding, right? Um, so I think those kinds of things, and
Mhm.
um, I think the bad parts might be just the outside noise, dealing with
Mhm.
the stuff that can just get into your head, that can kind of lose a little bit of confidence and stuff like
Mhm.
that. But when that kind of stuff happens, you just understand the work that
Yeah.
you put in, and you're ready for it. You just got to go
Mhm.
out and do it and be confident in it.
How do you block that out? Because there certainly wasn't much of a media following at San Mateo. There wasn't much of a media following at Nevada. There wasn't much of a media following at all with the Durham Bulls on a regular basis. And now all of a sudden you're thrust to Chicago, where everything is under the microscope, especially for a guy who is maybe the last or next to last guy on the position playing roster, where every day, every game, every moment could be critical to you staying with the Cubs or going back to Iowa. How do you deal with all that?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely took a little get used to. I mean, probably didn't do the best job to start of the season and stuff like that. But that's what comes with it, right? That's what comes
Mhm.
with the job, and you got to find ways to block it out.
Mhm.
A few ways to that I use to block it out is um, understanding the work that you put into this off season, and understanding that like looking back on all the stuff that you did to get yourself to this position, and trusting in that, right? Like
Mhm.
you didn't just get to the big leagues because you knew someone. No, you got there because you proved it. You proved that you were one of the best in the world, and you deserve that spot. So understanding that, and just understanding that it's a long season, and you're gonna come through bumps in the road, but you just try and make those bumps not too big.
That's right. Well, as we let you go, Miles, first off, I can't thank you enough for your time. We need to do this more often and stay in close touch. But the Bulls just announced a couple of days ago that Ripken the Bat Dog is coming back for another year. And I never knew a Durham Bulls player to get as close to Ripken as you have during your couple of years with the Durham Bulls. What memories, what moments do you remember with Ripken, and why was that such a special relationship and bond for you?
Yeah, big shout out to Ripken and Mike. Um, I'm a big dog guy. I love dogs to death, and especially labs. I had labs all growing up. So I remember in 21, the first time he came out and I saw him, and Ripken's so happy and he's so energetic. And but the thing that's crazy is when it's go time, he is laser focused. So I'd always go say what's up to Mike every single day and pet Ripken and stuff like that. And then it led into 22 where I was having a little bit of a slow start in April, and I remember I wasn't swinging it too well, and I was like, you know what, maybe if I can just get a kiss from Ripken, and see if it could lead to some luck or something. And I leaned over and he's got the video. He posted the video after it happened, and I leaned in. And I was just like, Ripken, can I get a kiss? And he gave me a kiss, and I went out there and I hit a double actually. So it was kind of the thing that I had going. I didn't want to use the Ripken kisses all the time, so I just tried to use them when I was like, okay, I really need one right here.
Mhm.
So big shout out to Ripken, and it's always fun seeing his videos out there doing his thing. I know he's
Well,
got some pups coming too, so
yeah.
it's fun to see that.
So the rest, as they say, is history because Ripken then went on the Kelly Clarkson show and Miles Mastrobuoni went to the big leagues.
Yeah. So we're moving in the right direction. It's nice.
All right. Well,
Yeah,
Miles,
fortunate for
thank
sure.
you so much for your time. Best of luck as spring training winds down. And hopefully you'll make the opening day roster again for the Chicago Cubs. And have a great year under your brand new manager, Craig Counsell. And best of luck to you and your family and your brother and everyone, because you are one of the true gems and really one of the fan favorites, and mine as well. So I thank you for your time and so proud for your success.
That's amazing. I can't thank you guys enough for having me, and please tell the Durham family hello for me, and give everyone hugs and stuff like that. And I'll always be following you guys. Durham holds a special
Mhm.
place in my heart. So thank you for that, and
Mhm.
thank you for all the memories.
Yeah, I will do that. And one more question before I let you go, because I just looked down at my list, and the question we're bouncing off of former Bulls players is who's next, right? Who's next in line? I asked Ryan Stanek if since he came on the podcast, whose story do you want to hear? He said, well, Ryan Yarbrough, Willie Adames, and named a
Ooh,
couple of
those
others.
are good ones.
So who's next for you? And who can you hook us up with to get on the Durham Bulls podcast?
Ooh,
Who's that person for you, Miles? Come on.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Dalton Kelly. He's the first one that comes to my mind. He was a really good Durham Bulls guy and an amazing teammate. Guy I still talk to very much today. So maybe if you can get him on the line, I'm sure he's got a bunch of good memories for you.
Tell him there's an incoming call his way.
Perfect.
All right, Miles Mastrobuoni, thank you once again. Good luck in the rest of camp, and we'll chat with you soon.
Appreciate it. Looking forward to it.
All
See you,
right, there's
Patrick.
Miles Mastrobuoni. You can follow him on Instagram, Miles Mastrobuoni. So check him out. And again, this podcast will drop. We'll tag Miles, and if you have any questions for him or for any of the future guests, feel free to drop those in the comments as well. So that's going to wrap it up for this week's installment of the Durham Bulls podcast. Again, you can find it on Apple, on Spotify, and on YouTube.com at Durham Bulls TV. So for Miles Mastrobuoni and our entire crew, Patrick Keene is saying thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll talk with you next week on the Durham Bulls podcast.